Then it wouldn't be pickled. It'd be like aging, or like you're getting that kind of cask finish.
Yeah.
My brain may have been very smoky and smooth with the booze.
I like this, man.
Hang on. So in that case, aren't you the cask?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I am made of
fine Benny finished scotch.
I am made of oak staves, Brent.
Yeah. I mean, there's no
Quick,
pickle.
let's turn him into a boat.
Hammer a ring onto me.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Games that Made Us podcast. I'm Brent. I'm joined as always by my good friend Kirk. Say hi, Kirk.
Say hi, Kirk.
And we're joined as always by our good friend Brenny. Brenny. Yeah. I was doing so good.
I think that melds well with the existential space between that I'm stuck in.
I'm keeping that in. I'm not redoing it. Fuck it.
Go for it.
Starting with
You're upsetting all of our fans.
right?
Just put some distortion on it. It'll sound like I'm warping in or something.
Oh. And welcome to Ooh, Spooky Games That Made Us. Ooh, this is the Halloween season. Ooh, Kirk's very upset with me. He's just fucking shaking his head and eye fucking me over his fucking. Yeah, there we go.
That was you. You dad joked that one real hard.
That's so dad it gets mad at me when I turn on the dome light in the car.
So dad, it brought the electric bill in to tell you why you need to turn off your lights. Yeah.
It's so dad it drinks Black Velvet and Diet Coke in a Casey's fountain cup.
So dad, it wore white sneakers to work. Yeah. Where are we? What am I doing? Podcast. Yeah. So, what are we drinking, guys, fella kids?
Brent's just broken today.
Yeah, he hasn't even gone through like a whole box of the quirks. He's just goofy.
He's not even drunk. He's just dumb.
Normally, there's a wall of cans against under the window I'm looking at over here across the room, and it usually signifies how quickly we're going off the rails. And judging by the 3 cans I have in my view right now, we should be fucking a guided missile, right? Not fucking a guided missile. You can do that, but we should be a guided fucking missile.
That's what they did.
And we're very much a Model T with a blind driver pulled by a mule.
I think the fucking of a guided missile is what's going to happen in the remake of Dr. Strangelove that I'm working on.
Oh, poor Brent is just broken. And all of Benny's horsecocks and all of Kirk's gay men couldn't put big old Brent back together again.
What the fuck is happening right now?
Just word salad. Just nothing but
But
word
it's
salad.
okay. We can put them back together. It's fine.
Yeah,
You guys
with lots of whiskey and duct tape and hugs and kisses and a giant Norse mythical forge.
I like all these things.
Our listeners didn't realize that we're just one big homegrown AI that just broke finally. Like it just ingested too much schlock, and
Yes.
now it's just like AI nonsense being vomited out at you.
This podcast has listened to too many other AI podcasts.
Now it's like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
Yeah, it's
and
like
now
that
it just makes no
Multiplicity
sense.
movie from the 90s. I remember liking that, but I was also like 10 when I saw it, so I'd be a little afraid to watch it again.
She touched my peppy Steve.
Yes! Michael Keaton. He's the man. Mm-hmm. So I didn't actually say what I was drinking, but I'm drinking Quirk, as is writ in the old magic. I have a can. That's the problem with what are we drinking is it's always the same answer. Benny's got a big fucking beer. Kirk's got something fruity. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I've got my Quirk hard teas. So
Well, it makes sense in it. Well, we're in like Oktoberfest season. Everyone knows I love my Marzens and Vienna style stuff, but it's just not good this early in the day.
that's true.
And it's kind of hot today, so I wanted like a lemonade or a tea. So that's why, like, when I come over, when we record in the mornings, I'll have like a seltzer or a tea or something, because I don't want to. Call me crazy. I don't want a stout or a porter at fucking 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, at least not without like sausage and eggs and shit.
Well, you just pour it over your Wheaties.
I'm trying to imagine how that would taste.
Like Wheaties with stout poured over it.
Ooh, you know what would be good? Like a peanut butter stout with like Wheaties. I'm going to try that. Or a peanut butter porter, sorry.
You know what would be pretty good would be like a peanut butter stout, or even just like a nice like coffee or chocolate stout with some vanilla ice cream with cereal on top of that, and kind of like mixed together. So you have like a beer float with some cereal.
Yeah, just bring like some Rice Krispies or
that would
something
be
on top
good.
of that.
Yeah, I think that would be tasty.
I got to stop at the grocery store.
So
Podcast canceled. We got to go get some shit from the store, guys.
We're going to change it to the drinks that made us.
so
We're gonna make that awful bomb drink that we were talking about in a cooler from.
Oh,
last
crack
time.
juice.
Crack
Yeah, we
juice.
still need to do that.
we do need to do that. I was in Kentucky at the Buffalo Trace Distillery a couple years ago, but the master distiller was talking to our tour group, and they had the Buffalo Trace bourbon cream, which is very tasty. And he was like, "Yeah, I like to put this on my Raisin Bran in the mornings," and I was like. And there's like a tour group of like 8 of us, and slowly my hand goes up. I'm like, straight or with milk? He's like, oh no, I just pour this directly over it. And I was like, do you have diabetes?
And is that why you're so spectacular right now?
Right? That sounds like it would be good once, and then I would immediately die. Where am I?
Oh, what are we drinking?
Oh yeah, what are we drinking?
Because I was on the liquor store at 9 a.m. this morning trying to randomly pick something, thinking, oh, it's going to be like fucking 90 degrees today for some goddamn stupid-ass reason at the end of September.
Right?
I've had this brand before, not on the show, but just in my personal life, Lone River. I grabbed their lemonade seltzers of some sort. Like, they got hot honey, which is pretty good, and a blueberry, and then a prickly pear. Nothing too crazy, but just, it's light and it's refreshing. And again, I'm not about to grab like Venusian space poison,
Yes.
and drink that at early hours in the morning like you fucking lunatics. Like, no, there's a festival going on down the street for Oktoberfest, and I'm hitting that sumbitch up after I get out of here.
Russian Imperial Stout at 9 o'clock in the morning. That was a good day.
Is Betty coming to Oktoberfest with me?
I have to do a couple things after this. I'm sad.
No things.
I don't want to be on the podcast anymore.
Only
I'm
Oktoberfest.
Well, I'm sad now too. I didn't know you guys were going to hang out and go do that.
I forgot it was
want to.
happening this weekend.
I want to, but I have to go do things.
No.
This is like the first weekend I've had where I'm not like having to keep an eye on my significant other.
Yeah.
Or have someone else work on or look after my significant other, so I'm going to enjoy today.
There you go.
You should.
By that, I mean I'm going to stick my dick in Brent.
No, yeah.
No resistance. Okay.
Well, okay.
Sure. I'm feeling squirrely. Let's give it a shot.
Do you remember the running with erection experiment we had? It was follow-up research.
We're doing like a human centipede version of that.
Yeah. We're deciding if we actually like it or not. It turns out neither one of us really do.
Yeah, it's like
But we had a try, so.
a 6 out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to run backwards when you're that close to each other.
Just Dick and Dick, Brent, Kurt just running backwards down the street.
Definitely an AI podcast, guys.
I will say, some of the people around here are so fucking conservative that I might do that just to piss them off.
And Brent and I are like coordinating, rolling left, right. Because we want to get an accurate time. We don't want to,
You don't want to trip over each other and then end up in a twister game in the middle of the street. With
or heaven forbid, one of us fall out of the other, and then we have to start all over again.
Yeah, it's like
just a big tornado of dick and balls everywhere.
Yeah.
many dicks do you have, Betty?
I assume you need at least 2 to make a tornado. I don't know.
That's fair, yeah. One on each side.
Otherwise, you're just at I don't know, a rave.
Dick rave. Anyway, I think that counted.
None of this is usable.
I think that counted as Kirk mentioning what he was drinking.
I'll just move on to
Benny.
I actually started with, and I highly recommend, even though I already finished it, the pumpkin spice latte nitro from Left Hand Brewing. Pumpkin ale with spices and coffee added, and it was really good. Oh shit, it's 7% alcohol too, so it will get you fucked up pretty quick.
There you go.
But the pumpkin spice latte from Left Hand,
Yeah.
that was really delightful, really smooth. If you like and it pours nicely like a real nitro out of a can. Really nice. But I finished that one earlier. And now I'm drinking an Oktoberfest, the Marzen Lager from Second Shift Brewing. But this one, Second Shift Brewing, is also from St. Louis.
There you go.
So anyway,
There's a lot of beer in St.
I'm digging into the fall type beers today.
Yeah. Well, whatever drowns out that fucking Budweiser bullshit they pump out of that fucking city.
It's true. It's true. And I'm drinking Cork Hard Tea.
Said that already, Bren.
You okay, Brent?
No.
He's very red over there.
Did you drink like 9 of these when we weren't watching?
Yeah. Is that what you were doing when you were sneaking upstairs during the last recording? Just going out and just
shotgunning beers in the
Yeah, do you
bathroom?
have
like it's high school
we
still?
lift open the toilet reservoir lid. There's like
just beer cans in there.
No, he's
Why does the toilet rattle when we flush it?
no.
Dad's
just,
always much
just
happier
shooting
when he-
heroin.
Brent's hiding his problem again. Poorly.
This is true. I brought us a game, as I am sometimes wont to do. And it's a spooky game. And you'll know that because we covered it last year on the games that spooked us. And it's good, and I like it, and we're going to talk about it.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Not to cut you off. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This was my pick. I think this was my number 1 pick,
Oh,
if I remember correctly. Either this or Silent Hill 2.
bully.
I don't remember. But it was.
All right, you fancy man.
Yeah, you
I
guys were
challenge you to
complaining-
fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Delicate gentleman.
Well,
Queensbury rules.
apparently, I'm not bougie enough on your booze show.
Show Limbo. We're talking about Limbo. (2010) by Playdead Studios. This is a side-scrolling puzzle platformer that is entirely in grayscale and came out first on Xbox Live Arcade from Microsoft Studios. And we'll probably talk a little bit about XBLA as we get into this, because it was a really, really formative service for me, and I think for the guys as well. And I think really important to kind of the state of gaming today, as opposed to the state of gaming in the 90s and into the early 2000s. So Playdead Studios, this is they were formed by, I think, ex-IO Interactive staff, the people that did the Hitman series. They're a Danish company. This was their first game. It is it is a absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, atmospheric little game where you play as this little boy, and you are walking to the right in this black and white world, and you are encountering all these horrifying, deeply disturbing situations that you then have to puzzle your way out of using really just a jump and a grab, which is the number of buttons that I like in my games. If we could just have everything be on an NES controller, that would work better for my broken brain.
For your simple little pokers, squeezers.
So, a little known fact about Brent, I actually don't have fingers, just 2 thumbs.
Thought he was going to say pointer and thumb pinky.
This game, like I mentioned, first came out on Xbox Live Arcade, and that was a really, really formative thing for me. I had been somebody, and I think it's obvious from the fact that we do this podcast, I'd been somebody who really, really liked 2D games and really, really liked retro games, but I never really could kind of put a word to what it was that I liked about them until Xbox Live Arcade came out, because it was really the first time that we had AAA titles, modern indie games, and retro games all sitting side by side. Mm-hmm. There was a ton of like old Sega stuff. I remember that was the first time that I ever played Castlevania Symphony of the Night was on there. And it was kind of the beginning of the indie market, right? Mm-hmm. Things like Castle Crashers, things like Braid, things like Geometry Wars. I put just a bazillion fucking hours into Geometry Wars. And weird little games from established studios, like Konami heavily supported it. They had the TMNT Reshelled on there, which was like a remake of Turtles in Time. But so I just spent a lot of time on it. It perfectly matched kind of where I was, because 2010 I would have been, early 20s. I was broke. I had a 360, but I mean, I really couldn't afford to be running out and buying new $60 games all the time.
Right.
And so in the same way that I think
it was definitely a revolutionary change in terms of like gaming availability for consoles.
Yes.
Like PC, always had kind of, or longer before that had just, almost like platform as a service. Like you go out and you download the game from wherever just as easily as you buy a physical copy. Even even in early days of like World of Warcraft, you could go to your Walmart and buy a copy. But you could also just buy it online and download it, even from the early days, because ultimately it was all going to come from them as a servicer. And it took consoles a while to catch up.
And I do feel like that while there was more game availability on PC, it often required a lot more technical know-how. Mm-hmm. Like, you could absolutely emulate any of these games that were on XBLA on a decent PC at the time, but then that meant you had to know how to set all that up.
And you had to have a computer powerful enough to do it.
Right. Whereas XBLA was kind of the first equivalent to like what Steam has now become, where you just have everything all together, and whatever game you want to play, you can just kind of go get it and start playing. And that was a really, really cool experience.
I wanted to remark on that because Steam was definitely around during this time period, but XBLA was succeeding where Steam was failing.
Yes.
Steam was just like, here's our showcase of games.
Right.
Where XBLA like really promoted a lot of these indie titles that they thought were going to be big hits, and often were. So they would put it, with the dashboard they had at the time. They're like, coming soon, check out like a trailer for this game, and etc. Where Steam really wasn't doing that, which is bizarre when you think about it. Because nowadays the roles are kind of reversed. Now Steam is kind of taking that.
Yeah, Steam has absolutely eaten every console's lunch for like almost a full generation.
Yeah, but that
human generation.
But back in the day, XBLA really started to showcase indie developers a lot better than anyone else was doing. Again, absolutely. Like you were bringing up like Castle Crashers and shit. Like we wouldn't have those games without XBLA, because if they tried to put it on Steam at the same time, which they would eventually, I don't think it would have got as recognized.
No, absolutely not. And I don't think there was anywhere else other than XBLA in that era, or even for several years after, that you could have put out something like Braid or like this game that we're going to talk about, Limbo, and have have buzz about it. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you could have released it many places, but I remember when this game came out, talking with people, like talking with my friends about a game that two guys made, which I don't remember ever happening before. Like, it was a really cool experience, and I think it heavily informs where we are.
Especially not at the level that this game is at in terms of polish and completeness. I mean, well, you could argue the story element of it in terms of completeness, but clearly it was a precursor. But it says a lot about like game building and construction sets and how things were shifting, because, you know, two guys weren't just going to code this in... I maybe they did code this all out of C or something like that, but they probably used art kits and things that were starting to reach a critical mass where you could make a game that harkened to AA in a very small team.
I think they did code, like, from scratch their own engine for this one.
Sure, but like you had like, there were tools for the graphical assets, the things that made it, that gave it the polish. You know, like music. No one chip tuned this thing out to, you know, digitally to the degree it reached.
Well, this game too proved that in the indie market was a viable market as well, because at this time it was still a very, very heavy arms race between Sony and Microsoft for just building a powerful console, and then these studios trying to come up with the most graphically pleasing games that were available with the technology at the time, just trying to make these huge, big budget games, but then damn near all of them kept falling flat on their face.
Right. I think it would still be a couple years before you get like your Super Meat Boys and your Fez and Braid and some of these others.
I think that's where the reason why Microsoft kind of won that generation, because they, instead of were like, oh, well, let's just keep pumping millions of dollars into these studios, they're like, well, we have great technology here in place in the console. How can we make it better and more accessible to more people? Well, then they brought in, they overhauled their whole dashboard at the time. Then they brought in XBLA because the internet was more and more a thing. And then they were able to promote these indie titles, and they fucking made a killing off doing it. They took so much away from Sony, because even still this day, it's still something Sony doesn't do.
Yeah, and so this game, I think also, like, you know, to Kirk's point about the pursuit of graphical fidelity being such a huge part of all of gaming history, but I feel like especially this era, right, that late 2000s, you know, people who are a little younger than us might not remember this because it's kind of stopped being a thing. But there was a time when if you talked about a game that was just ran at a lower resolution or didn't have like the graphical fidelity of something, it would get dismissed out of hand.
Graphics was the singular pursuit for a while there because
it was an arms race.
And the discourse around video games was basically, if it is less graphically intensive than a AAA game that just came out, it is bad.
It was inferior.
Right. And so somebody like me who would, you know, was still very much into like 8 and 16-bit games, I mean, I got made fun of a lot for that. Like that was even something that I still thought were valuable. And so this was really cool because Limbo and many other games of this era and the initial indie explosion of the like 2009 through 2013 kind of era. First off, they were popular. They were
immensely popular, and they were budget friendly,
inarguably less graphically intensive. And so you could point to something and say, see, just because it is a breakthrough in graphics doesn't mean it looks better, even, right? Because Limbo is beautiful. And I want to talk a little bit about the graphics of this game. It's exceptionally painterly. It's got this look where they use a lot of like soft shadow. And so everything's I mean, frankly, a little blurry, especially on a big modern display.
There are times where there are cinematic moments where you can see that the entire thing is viewed through a black and white vignette.
Yes.
So it all of it is inherently a little bit. You're not meant to experience it with total clarity because that's not the type of game this is.
Right. And in fact, and this is something also that I want to talk about in at least a small amount of detail, there's a spiritual successor to this game called Inside that was done by the same studio and features a lot of the same mechanics. It's a very, very similar game, but it is graphically more, it's got a higher level of graphical fidelity to it than Limbo, and I think it suffers for it.
Yeah, it has 3D models versus Limbo, which is purely 2D.
Right. There's a lot of stuff in Inside, and particularly, or in Limbo, I'm particularly thinking about, there's a recurring boss that you fight that's this giant spider. And there's several moments in Limbo where there's a tree branch or a piece of metal or something that you run up to, and because it's got this kind of like eerie, cloudy, painterly kind of look to it, you go, oh shit, it's that fucking spider again. Mm-hmm. And you literally couldn't do that with higher resolution. You couldn't do that with more contrast between colors and shapes. Like it would ruin the suspense.
Just more color in general would ruin it.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, it reminds me again of looking at black and white film. Like some of those old movies, the use of that contrast and that color is what gives it its creepy, weird aesthetic. Kind of in the same way that I think a lot of people talked about Breath of the Wild, where it's like, yeah, part of the reason why this looks good is because of its stylization.
Absolutely. More
than its like super high poly count. I think that's something else that you could say about Limbo.
It's visually multi-layered, and that gives it a lot of depth. And with the lack of color, you can't necessarily see how many layers or how deep things are until things start moving in parallax relative to one another in the background. And so, and because there is play between the foreground and the background, that's meant to, part of it is meant to inform the character, the player, as to some of like the physics puzzles that are taking place or that you're solving. But some of the physics situations that are taking place, like gravity becomes a mechanic that we're kind of playing with. And having the layers be indistinct but nevertheless present means that the world feels very vibrant, but you can't predict how it's going to be changing around you.
I just want to add something quick, because we do have some older listeners who have actually talked to me that said, like, well, some of the terms you guys use, I don't understand. So when Benny was saying parallax, in video games, there's a common term called parallax, like parallax backgrounds, where the background is moving separately from the foreground. So a good example would be like your classic Mario Bros, where the quote-unquote background with the clouds is actually moving along with your character in the foreground, where a parallax background is going to move independently. So like if you were to put that in the same situation with Mario, those clouds would be moving to emulate like wind or something independently of Mario.
Well, it's the same principle, like to liken it to real world. Like if you take your analog 35 millimeter camera and you take a picture of your family at the Grand Canyon and you move 5 feet to your right to take a different angle, the background will have changed very little, although some, from that perspective shift, but the people in the foreground that you're taking the picture of will have moved dramatically in the frame. Yep. So it's the relative movement, the movement of things in your view relative to how far away from you they are. That's all that means.
Yeah. And it was, at one point, it was technologically impossible on video game hardware, and it became possible in the 80s. And what we've seen through a lot of 2D games is gradually the number of parallax layers tends to grow as you move forward. So something like Hollow Knight, which is actually interesting because Hollow Knight is sort of designed as a 3D game. They built it in 3D space, but with essentially like 2D panels.
One of my favorite things about gaming now is the acceptance of the lack of a need to drive towards perfect graphical fidelity in all genres of gaming. Some of them, yes, that's still there.
Yeah.
But I love 2.5D
Yeah.
as a stylistic choice. The amount of, sorry, just as an aside, I love like doing voxel and pixel and like, cubic, pixel cube based physics games. I just love that stuff. That's so charming.
Or games where you can't even technically say 2.5 like Fez because it is 3D. You just can't experience it in 3D.
Yeah,
I love that.
Fez is
yeah.
so cool.
And then again, and great use of a parallax background.
And
how you can shift the entire world. The background doesn't move, but the world, as far as your perspective is concerned, might as well have turned an
90 degrees.
Yeah, a whole 90 degree.
And another XBLA game.
Yes, another XBLA game.
But so like Hollow Knight famously has like 15 layers of like individual layers of
from foreground to ultimate
to background, and they're all moving at slightly different speeds, which is what gives you that sensation of depth. So that would be parallax scrolling.
Yeah. So and when you add layers, for instance, for our and then maybe not older viewers, but just viewers that don't understand parallax. Like when you use multiple layers, one layer could just be like the leaves on a tree.
Yes.
And then the next layer right behind that could be the branches. And then the next layer behind that could be the trunk. And they all kind of can move independently based on your relative view. Yeah. Or whatever they're programmed to do. It could be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good call out.
And with Limbo in particular, the black and white and then the vignette and the multiple layers can really make some of the background. They've leveraged this they've weaponized it against the player in some ways to make it indistinct right up until something is going to bite you in the ass.
Yes.
In a very delightful way.
It is a very threatening world that our little boy has been dropped into. And so just to give a little bit of, I wouldn't even call it a plot synopsis. So this game doesn't have dialogue at all. The game just starts.
I thought you get dropped in, you're supposed to find your sister or something. Is that right? Or am I thinking wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay.
That's you don't, at least in versions of the game that I've played, I've not seen an actual like text box with that, but that is the end of the game is you find her.
Okay, yeah.
Most recently I played through the Android version, which is a really, really solid and faithful port. So if you have and it actually has decent touch controls, it's a simple enough game that's doable. Mm-hmm. I play it on a device that has controls on it, so that's not really relevant to me. But like I say, the Android port is pretty good if you're looking to play it on that. And the game is broken out in such a way that works pretty well. But you just wake up, you're this little boy, and you're at the edge of this forest, and you start walking to the right. And as you progress, you are presented with these threatening scenarios. There's a spider right away that's trying to get you, and you have to figure out how to basically like break off all of its legs using a giant bear trap that you find.
Pretty vicious.
Yeah. The game is extremely violent in its presentation, but again, that kind of like low fidelity, kind of cloudy, painterly thing kind of presents a little bit of distance. But
what are you talking about? It's not like he gets decapitated and you see a little boy's head tumbling off.
Right. The ways in which your little guy dies are fucking horrifying. Like you'll get snapped in half or lit on fire or electrocuted, and then his little ragdoll body like falls around. It is
or drown. I drowned all the time.
Oh my god! Yeah. Yes, I really wish he could like float a little bit.
Yeah,
like that's pretty stupid.
Like give you like one hop out of the water.
You can absolutely tell it's a European developer because forever it's been true that European developers apparently think water is poison. Like if you touch water, you die.
Helldivers, Swedish company.
Yeah.
If you even a little bit of water, this is in the future. You
you
can't
look at
even
it.
swim a little bit.
So fucking
You sink
dumb.
immediately. I'm like, that is so fucking absurd.
I don't. Maybe it's only Americans who swim and Australians. Australians swim.
Yeah, I mean,
Australia.
Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2, although those were Canadian developed games,
That's
so
that's like
Ubisoft Montreal. They're basically French. It's fine.
Canadians. Canadians are like America's
The Canadians are coming for me now, eh?
Europe. Yeah.
I'd be happy if Canadians came for me. I'd be like, oh, please take me.
Come chant your Quebecois at me, eh?
I'm half Quebecois. I can make
Cable
that
or
joke.
you can kidnap me, drag me back to your country, feed me poutine and great beer. I'm fine. I'll go to Tim Hortons. It's fine.
Please kidnap me, Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please kidnap me.
come.
I know your housing market sucks right now, worse than ours, which is incredible. But
Yeah.
I think I would just like you people better.
Yeah. Anyway, Limbo. So you, I think the original description of it was it's a pick up and die game, or something along those lines.
That's how you learn.
Yeah, because you die constantly, but it doesn't have a live system.
It's experimentation based. Like you have
Yeah.
to figure out. There's almost no way to do this perfectly on a first playthrough without dying. There's almost no way to do that because they're just unknowns.
Yeah. So you immediately pick back up at the last checkpoint, and the game is structured as a series of puzzles that you just restart at the last puzzle. So actually, when you pull up a save, it'll have like it looks like a film strip that has all the different puzzles.
The chapter selection.
Right, and you can scroll to the last puzzle that you were at. But as you progress to the right, the world behind you subtly changes. And when I say subtly, it changes dramatically, but the transitions between are really, really nicely done. You go from like a forest to this weird, like Lost Boy-esque kind of tree house of horrors kind of encampment that wasn't intended to be a Simpsons reference, but it was.
Very Mad Maxian almost.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say post-apocalyptic feeling
Then through like this giant cave.
to like post-industrial
Yes.
sort of.
I love the part, and they used it in the trailer where you're jumping between the like the big signage for
The
the hotel.
electrified letters
Fucking
of the hotel
hate
sign.
that.
Oh, it's
that
so
area.
hard. It's so hard.
It's like at the end of the game too, and I was back in the day. I was trying to get all the achievements, and one of them is completing the game without dying because you can beat the game fairly quickly if you played it enough.
it's probably like an
It's-
hour,
yeah.
2 hours.
It's
if you
short
really,
and
if
it's
you-
not that hard
no.
overall.
But
It's-
anytime I was going for the complete the game without dying achievement, those fucking neon signs.
Yeah.
every time.
And there's then the last section of the game is like this giant like factory kind of thing. That's the part of the game that I feel like is weakest, which makes sense for it being
A little bit.
an indie studio that is trying to put out a game to a deadline because they'd already signed with Microsoft Game Studios.
Although the puzzles are a pleasant increase in difficulty at that point. Like that final puzzle to get through that final barrier to the closing sequence is pretty creative.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And
Where you're effectively you're playing with gravity and you're not like you get to the point where you're not just switching it, but you're kind of you have to understand what your vector is. So like the direction you're heading at any given moment has to be taken into account so that you can move in the right direction when you change the direction of gravity.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but like
No,
it's a very
it does.
it's kind of a rhythm game in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Well, and we had talked about on some episode
Shovel Knight was definitely a revelation for me.
I think it might have
when
been
I talked about how I had to view it as a rhythm game, and that very much changed how I played it.
I think that was the one because we were talking about how like platformers and rhythm games are essentially sort of the same genre in terms of the way it works in your head. And one thing that I'll say about this in terms of gameplay is that while the controls are very, very tight and like they do, and when I say tight, they respond exactly the same way every time you use them, right? It's not sloppy. Your character doesn't like slide all over the fucking place. There's very little in the way. There's some momentum physics, but not much. You can get there pretty quickly of understanding what's going to happen when you hit the button in what time. That said, it's like a lot of retro platformers in the fact that it is completely unforgiving. There's no like wiggle room. Oh, you got within. It's not like Celeste where it's like, oh, I got within 4 pixels, so the game knows what I wanted to. No. You hit it perfectly or you die. And I like that, actually.
It is a very fair game, though. I will say that, like, the hitboxing feels extremely fair.
Yeah.
And that's something that is I think that's a challenge to be overcome by developers, which is hitboxes in games are inherently programmatic and fair if they're not bugged out entirely. Hitboxes are just what they are. They're fair. They're regions of gameplay that interact with one another.
Sure.
So like they're again, for the people that don't understand some of these terms, hitboxes are literally, especially in a 2D game, they might be boxes or circles or random areas, 2D shapes that represent areas that can interact with other areas in the game. So like your character is a sprite that has an area around them that when they touch other objects in the game, their hitboxes interact and then some sort of thing happens, whether it's an enemy hurting them or if it's an obstacle to jump over or to get stuck against. They're overlapping or interfering with each other or somehow interacting. And in some games, those hitboxes, while they don't change or move around, feel unfair because of how they're drawn relative to like the movement. So that you can feel like you're getting cheated by the game by bad hitboxing. This game feels very fair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It feels like when you mess up, you feel responsible for the mess up, not that the game didn't address your movement correctly in some way.
Yeah.
And another term that's good to combine with that, often when the environment is not interacting with your character's hitboxes in the way they should, that is referred to as clipping.
Right.
So, little tidbit there. We're learning today, guys.
Yay.
Welcome to Kirk's TED Talk.
Yeah. Although I did want to actually Brent a little bit when he was just like, in general, yes, you are always going to the right, but there are specific puzzles that force you to go to the left more often than not.
The brain slug puzzles are some of my favorite parts of this game. And it's so funny because when like a lot of this game, because it is, while very fair, it is also like you're going to die a lot. Until you figure it out, you're going to die a lot.
So as someone who played this for the first time for this,
yeah,
coming from like FromSoft and Souls games and some of these other games, actually felt pretty fair. And I actually didn't. I was like, oh, this isn't too bad at all. I died there. That's definitely a spike through his head. But at least I didn't do it 6 times in a row trying to get past this.
Right. The learning how the controls are different with the brain slugs. So, okay.
The game, all I wanted to say there was that the game plays out with brutality, but the game itself is not that brutal. The game is not too hard.
No.
It is honestly really accessible, and I think most people could play it and figure out most of the game, if not all of it, without too much trouble.
Yeah. And that's...
especially through trial and error.
Absolutely. At which the game encourages, right? Like we said, it encourages that trial and error gameplay. But the one thing that I wanted to say about that is I think that kind of dovetails nicely into the next thing that I wanted to mention, which is this game, for me, is all about the atmosphere. It's all about the like experience of playing it. And I think the relatively fair, especially once you like get used to how your character controls, level of difficulty lends itself to being a, headphones on, lights out, just soak in the atmosphere of this game, experiential gameplay.
You could absolutely call this a zero dialogue visual novel.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's visual storytelling in the extreme.
Absolutely.
It doesn't even have music.
Right.
It has ambient music, which I don't count as actual background music. It's just like when you're in a forest, you hear birds and bugs. Sounds.
The music of the night, Kirk.
Yes.
The music of the night. All right, sorry. Yeah.
How dare you?
Not a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan.
But I don't know. Put on a mask and sing at me.
Okay.
We'll see how
Right now.
hard I get.
I do
how hard it gets. How
I do have one small story about this game because it was
Yeah.
at a time because we were in college at the time when the game came out. I don't want to give away like geography or whatever, but we were at my apartment and we were really high. There was a couple of girls that were hanging around and they wanted to play one of the games. They're like, "Oh, you have a 360. This looks like so much fun!" Ha 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 ha! So we fired up Limbo because it was just a good game, and I watched for a solid 30 minutes when they kept failing the first trap / puzzle over and over and over again until they got so pissed off and I was laughing so hard they left. It's like I was so entertained by them failing at this game. I didn't care if I got laid that night by one of them. It was just so damn funny to me. It's like how that so then spoiler alert, the very first trap in the game shows up fairly quick.
Yeah.
It's just a bear trap. But it continues on to the next puzzle where, like, yeah, you can jump over the bear trap, get to the next area. But then the next area is the spider.
Right.
Well, how you get past the spider is that you move that bear trap to then, in turn, snatch off the spider's little legs.
Yeah.
The girls never figured that out. It's like they never figured out that they could move that bear trap left and right, up and down, whatever. So I sat there, and maybe it wasn't 30 minutes. Maybe it just felt like 30 minutes.
That'll happen. Time distortion's a thing. Yeah.
But it kept happening over and over and over again. And I was laughing so hard.
I
didn't see any titties that night. Like,
what was it about these early indie games that they all really enjoyed watching, like making people die in hilarious ways? Mm-hmm. Because it's like Super Meat Boy, where you just like constantly get ground up into the like big spinning blades. There's a lot of spinning blades in late 2000s indie games.
I mean, that's even part of the ethos of that game. Though, like the developer even like talked about like yeah, he's a skinless boy. He's so delicate. He's so vulnerable. Like that's like the idea is that you're vulnerable in a really dangerous place. Like, boy, that was ahead of its time.
There feels like there's some connective tissue between Shovel Knight having Shovel Knight and Shield Knight, and Meat Boy having Meat Boy and Bandage Girl. Right? Like
I am sure there's a connection there.
Right? Like that feels like it's
even if they didn't do it on purpose, that's got to be in their brain somewhere,
like
rattling around, right?
For sure.
I still want a Shield Knight game. Just throwing that out there.
Oh my god, that sounds like so much fun.
Because it should have been a DLC, just like Plague Knight and all that. There should have been Shield Knight, where you do like an epilogue as Shield Knight.
There'd be so much gameplay variance with like the shield and the reflection mechanics and like jumping, like bouncing off with your shield. I don't know. It's so fun.
Not to bring up a sore subject, but I feel like you could make a Lost Vikings style game with Shield Knight and Shovel Knight.
Hergen, Flurgen, Durgan, and Shield Knight.
Hergen, Flurgen, Durgan, and Shield Knight. Yes. But yeah, I just wanted to real quick bounce off what we were talking about with the soundscape. It has one of just the coolest, creepiest soundscapes because it does the in The Shining. There's the scene where the little boy, where Danny is riding around on his
little trike.
And he's rolling over the alternating carpeted, non-carpeted. And so it goes, but, and it's almost like the Jaws theme, but it's diegetic music. It's like in universe music.
It builds tension, and it's not meant to sound like music, but it's there. It
does. Limbo, because his footsteps, and because there's not like a run button, he always walks at basically the same speed. I know you can make him walk a little slower if you want, but like if you're just running to the right like you normally do in a platformer, that combined with his little like breathing sound becomes the background music. It becomes like the rhythm section to the soundscape of the game, and it's just so pleasantly creepy. As a big like horror movie fan and horror media fan, just the like pleasant creepiness of Limbo.
Well, and just watch the trailer to the game, and it really brings that exactly what you're talking about. They use that in the trailer.
Way up in the mix.
Well, and you can argue that eventually the soundscape becomes somewhat critical to the gameplay.
Yeah.
Especially at the end where you hear the gravity engines like switching around.
Yeah.
And they have a wind-up period, and you can use the frequency of the sound of their wind-up as your timing.
Yeah.
As you go through those sequences at the end.
All the like sliding downhill as the universe shifts around you is so good. It's so creepy and like frightening and awesome. I fucking love this game, guys. I love this game so much.
No, it was so accessible too. Even today and back in the day. I think even when it first came out, it was like $10 something. I think it was like $5 or $6 when it first came out, and I think it still is to this day. Well, maybe it's a little bit higher, like $10 because of inflation and all that. But
if you can find it on sale on Steam, this is 1,000% worth it.
Well, it'll probably be $1.
I was going to say, you can probably get it bundled with Inside as a very cheap bundle, and that's probably worth it.
Yeah, so that's a good.
I haven't played Inside, but I want to, because I watched it played at one point online as well, and I think it still has a lot of charm.
It does. I think that's a good jumping off point, because I do want to talk about Inside just for a second, which is there are games that are more than a sum of their parts, right? So like with Limbo, like we've spent at least as much time talking about what the game doesn't have as what it has. Like it's so stripped down. There's so little there that
it's very much a minimalist game.
Absolutely. But somehow it clicks, and it just feels so good to play and so good to exist in that universe. There's nothing technically wrong with Inside. It's a really good game. Yeah, absolutely. If you like Limbo, go play it for sure. No disagreements with that at all. But it loses some of the magic of Limbo, and I don't know if I could really put my finger quite on it.
For me, it's because they were using more colors, which isn't always bad. I think that they were using them in the wrong way. Whereas if you look at games that directly influenced, or that were a direct influence from these games, like Little Nightmares.
Yes.
So Little Nightmares, not made by the same people, but it was obviously like that was the inspiration. I feel like Little Nightmares succeeds where Inside failed.
Agree. I think Little Nightmares is a better sequel to Limbo than Inside is.
I think they used the environment and the colors in a lot more meaningful way, which kept that creepiness that Inside was really missing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, which also, if you've never played Little Nightmares, please go play.
That.
Go play that. That's really good. Another one of those, like a lot of the deaths where you don't see them for the most part, but the implied death is horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I thought was cool, because like one of the reasons Limbo gets away with being as graphic about his deaths as it does is because they're obscured, right? You don't actually see like arcs of red blood or see his brain splatter. Like, you just see, like...
It's all in silhouette.
Right, and so you know exactly what happened, but it's not quite as graphic as it would be in a, full-color game. Little Nightmares does the thing of going, well, since we have a little bit more graphical fidelity to work with, we want to do the other thing of letting your mind make it scarier than it would be to just see it, which is really smart. So there you go. Here's a whole shopping list of indie puzzle platformer horror games that you should play, but start with Limbo because I think it's
Yeah, because
and it's $1. Yeah, usually on Steam summer sale, like Steam fall sales coming up, it'll be $1.
Yep. And it influenced so many other games of the same genre that exist and are doing very well. Like, again, Little Nightmares.
Yeah, because they came out with a sequel to that.
Yes, they did, and that's also really fucking good.
Yeah, I haven't played the second one yet.
Yep, just a great use of, again, it's not like they use a lot of color, or really any more than Limbo, or than Inside than that mattered. They used it where they needed it.
Yeah.
Where everything else, for the most part, is in grayscale, but only things, or if they really wanted to drive a point home, then they'll use color, which is how they should use it. Yeah. Whereas Inside they used color predominantly throughout the whole thing, but then also it's just like the contrast of all of it just seemed off. Like the usage of the boy's color, which is like this weird kind of really light red.
Yeah.
Which I get it because you want to see your character on the screen, but completely utilizing it the entire time, and then everything else having color too. It didn't pop as well as, again, Little Nightmares did.
Well, and I feel like part of the thing that I love about Limbo and its visual aesthetic is that, we're seeing this world that is through the eyes of a little boy, and it's sort of implied that he's like going into Limbo, or he's going into like the nether realm to try and go get his sister, and the world feels childlike. It feels unreal in the sort of fable-esque kind of way.
It is kind of liminal.
Yeah, and Inside felt so much more grounded. Mm-hmm. Like it felt so much more real.
Like you were in someone else's universe, not the character's universe.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I wanted it to feel childlike.
I felt like I was in the universe of my pursuers the entire time in Limbo, whereas Limbo, that was more the universe that the kid saw, not what the pursuer saw, in Limbo or in Inside.
That's a really great way to put it. Yeah, it almost felt like a kid trying to break into like fucking Aperture or Black Mesa or something, rather than like some kind of creepy like 80s dark fantasy. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah.
Aperture Science. We do what we must because we can.
For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead.
But there's cake.
Yes.
The cake is a lie.
I've heard the cake is a lie. Yeah, I've heard that. Okay, we have to do Portal soon.
It's going to have to be done.
The cake wasn't
Portal and Portal 2.
Technically a lie, just you don't get it. Yeah, but that's in the ending.
But the cake. Ratman says that the cake is a lie.
Yeah. But there is cake. It's just
but they're lying to you about whether there's cake.
Whether you get it. Like
I love it.
GLaDOS gets the cake.
I love at the end of Portal 2 with the thousands of cakes. Mm-hmm. That's so good. It's so good. God, I love Portals.
And the opera.
Yes. And the fact that they used Jonathan Colton for both.
For both of them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got to cover.
We got
to do Portal sometimes. Yeah. It's so good.
Well, do we do Portal and Portal 2 at the same time?
We might as well. We've all played all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say we could do.
I like Portal, but Portal 2 is a better game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, just because it's more of a game, right? Like Portal 2 is better because it has the runtime to do more things, both story and gameplay wise. Because you could take Portal 1 and make it a 60-hour game, and I'd be a real happy camper.
I think Portal, sure, and it doesn't even need any plot for Portal 1 to be a game. No. But Portal 2 does everything that Portal 1 does, but does it all better.
Yeah.
And I find Portal 2 to be an oddly touching game.
I agree with that.
Maybe not oddly, but like it's like juxtaposed.
Because it really is. It's outside of the gameplay. If we talk about the story is really all about like connections between just a small number of characters and the perpetuity of them in some cases. Themses. I
want
did
Cave Johnson to be my friend.
Yep.
Can we just all agree that GLaDOS is responsible for a lot of people's like step on me mommy fantasies?
I had never thought about that, but probably.
No. I like how GLaDOS
put me in a potato
was used in Pacific Rim. The automated voice inside is GLaDOS.
So good.
How are you? Because I am a potato. God.
Oh,
so good.
I do like how that game just got so many nerds like to Portal 2 because there is travel time of the portals. Like when you fire it, there is a noticeable travel time before it hits a surface. So a lot of people were just like, that's bullshit that I got all the way to the moon at the end, because it would have taken like several minutes for it if you calculate the game's in travel time of the portal, because it's not as if it works on, even if it was at light speed, it's like there still would have been a delay for it hitting the moon.
They could have built that into the narrative, which would have been all that much cooler to do, but still. Anyway, I love that game so much.
We gotta talk about Portal. Okay. Anybody have anything else we want to talk about with Limbo?
No, just I'm really happy that XBLA. I mean, I don't credit Microsoft for much for anything anymore, but hell, it's still a lot better than what Nintendo has been doing for a long time.
Yes,
and they're progressively getting worse. Where I think Microsoft and Sony are just kind of shrugging on whatever. But it was really nice to have this at the time, the XBLA or Xbox Live Arcade. I don't think we said the full.
I think at least once, but yeah.
But this was back when internet-enabled games and devices were still relatively new, even though it was technically the second generation of games to come out to be internet-enabled. But it came out at a time where you didn't have 56K modems; you had straight-up Ethernet plugs in the back, and the wireless N standard was starting to come out.
Yeah, it was still
pretty primitive, but it made the case that games don't always need a physical copy of something to work.
Yeah.
Consoles had onboard hard drives where you could download the game and then play it directly from the console. And we were seeing that big shift between physical media and then downloadable media.
It also started that conversation around ownership.
Yes, exactly.
That's true too.
The XBLA isn't really a thing anymore. Now it's just the Microsoft Store, which I think was a stupid move.
Well, I don't know. It just felt more curated then.
Yes.
I mean, it was curated because they were publishing games that they wanted on that storefront.
Yes, that was a big thing to be on that storefront, because that's what everyone saw when they booted up their console.
So sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but a thing that we need to mention just real quick as a plug, because it directly ties into exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't seen it, go watch Indie Game the Movie. It came out in 2012 and talks...
I'm actually referencing some of those games from that documentary.
Yeah. It talks exactly about this era and like the launch of the XBLA and some of these games.
I believe one of the stories was, I can't remember which indie game it was, but the guy was really upset because it was launch day and they didn't put the game on the front dashboard of the marketplace.
Fez.
Yeah. Oh, it was Fez. I love Fez. That's a great fucking game.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was Fez.
But it was one of those.
It was also when I learned
because the guy who
was an asshole.
The guy the guy who'd done Braid and all that stuff. He had risen to prominence, but the guy who did Fez and the guy who did Super Meat Boy were still like, these are like their introductory.
Edmund McMillan is his name. The guy who did Super Meat Boy
is okay.
Yeah.
And like these guys were like counting on, out of the ether. Nice, Brent. But these guys were counting on these launches to basically sustain their livelihoods because they put everything on the line.
One of them was literally living in his parents' house.
Yep.
He had quit his job and put all of his money into this game. So him not being featured on the front dashboard could have really screwed him out of thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the moments in that documentary that I think about regarding like AAA gaming, and I have to, and it's a more moderated, metered approach in my brain than for him, clearly.
Yeah.
When I think about those games because it's the guy who developed Fez. What was his name again?
I can't remember.
He's
McMillan is the Meat Boy guy. I don't know who did Fez.
He's talking to the documentarian crew, and he's talking about his what he's struggling through a little bit, and he's saying I made this game because this is the game that I wanted to play because those AAA games are shit. And I fucking hate those.
Yeah,
and it's like those aren't worth. He was like those. He basically implies that they're not worth existing, and while I disagree with him, I actually don't take umbrage with that. I get it, and if you're gonna hold that opinion, then damn well make the best indie game that you can. Then, if that's what you're gonna do, and he did. Yeah. But I think about that, and I try to remember that there's
Phil Fish.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Phil Fish.
And I try to think about. It's one of the things that got me thinking about the ethics of game development and production well before some of these conversations around like Bungie and some of these other studios. I think it would be several years before it really became clear that like Blizzard and Activision and some of these other companies, like these big multinational corporate monstrosities that churn out some of these cookie cutter games, which they've got formulas that work.
FS26 being the newest one.
I mean,
or FC26, whatever the fucking bullshit soccer games that come out.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to cut you
off.
It made hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm so furious about it. Like, people are dumb.
They're cookie cuttering them. They're upgrading the graphics to meet whatever the current standard of Unreal Engine is or whatever. Yeah. And then, they're not even innovating. They're just hitting a formula.
And they're chewing up and spitting out creative people in the process.
Exactly. And so that is part of this conversation, too, at some level. Like, I think about that when I play. You were talking about oh my god, I blanked on his name, but like the Borderlands 4 guy.
Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have to think about that when I play Borderlands or Assassin's Creed and some of these AAA games that I think have a lot of value to them, but I at the very least ought to be aware of the ethics of some of of how these things are made and the people that they tread on to get them out the door. Absolutely. And games like Limbo are clearly a labor of love. Yeah. And having a platform having a service that platforms them was really critical at that time to make them available to people like us, to little nerds like us.
It's the little people that count. People like you.
And it was Microsoft's fault for basically what is now the failure of the XBLA. I think it started with the Xbox One, where a lot of the marketplace and the indie titles took a backseat to its own little tab instead of it being front and in your face. They were trying to put in all these features nobody fucking wanted, just so Microsoft can keep pushing its own bullshit, which is apparent today in Windows 11, which is garbage.
Oh God, we can't get into that because
But it's like, if you're wondering why you're not making as much money anymore, well, look back to when you were and look at what you were doing and then really look inside yourself and say, I know it's not what I want to do now, but it's clearly what everybody else wanted because that's what we're doing. We're a company that provides a product to other people, so maybe we should respond to what the people want because that's what gets us money. Well, it's not hard. It's not a hard business thing to figure out. But even Nintendo makes it look like it's fucking impossible, so they have to force their way into it.
The thing too is, it's like when you have a market leader out there making a play, and let's not kid ourselves. Like Microsoft was doing that because they thought it was going to make them more money than doing something else would get them. Mm-hmm. But it forced everybody else to move that direction too, because I don't know if people remember, but at the time that, we're talking about Nintendo being so like anti-consumer and you can't buy any of their old games, and that wasn't true back then. Yeah. Because you had WiiWare. You could go on the Wii shop and buy pretty much any goddamn old retro game that they had put out or Sega had put out or Konami had put out on the console. And I credit Microsoft a little bit for that being the case. Yep. Because Microsoft was saying, hey, you want to buy some fucking games, kid? And Nintendo kind of had to respond with, well, I guess you can buy some our shit too. We'd really rather not.
But Brent, you have to think about the return to form, because won't somebody please think about the poor shareholders?
Yeah.
Please think of the shareholders.
And I like how Steam has almost changed nothing over the past 20 years, and they're still, like, they're just cashing out now. It's like, we've kept the same business model, and we're taking all of your business because you're stupid.
Yep.
Like, it's not hard. Oh, man.
Video game machine go burr.
Yeah. It's like, give the people what they want, because it's the people who are buying your product.
To skip back to the game we were talking about last time, if anybody can get some cyborg attachments for Gabe Newell so we can keep him alive forever,
yep,
please do that. If the Adaptus Mechanicus can come to Earth and make sure that we don't lose Gabe anytime soon,
Omni Psi preserve.
that would be fucking choice, because I am terrified of what happens when he dies and inevitably some fucking angel investor comes in and buys Valve, and then we're all fucked.
Fucking EA buys Steam. That'd just be hell. I'd just give up on video games altogether.
Oh, God.
Because we can't count on Epic to do anything right, and GOG is too small to be worth anything.
GOG is so frustrating, because I really want to buy more of my stuff on GOG, but...
why can't they not... What are they doing that they're not gaining any market relevance at all?
They don't have... So many of the good games aren't on GOG. And the storefront sucks.
They should be able, unless all the licensing has like precluded them on the other platforms from getting any of those.
Yeah.
Unless that's the case, like, I don't understand. Like, you don't have to get the AAA stuff. There's plenty of other double and like indie stuff that you could.
That's why I don't understand. There's more AAA stuff on GOG than there is indie. Like, there's hardly any. Like, there's a lot of old games, which is good. It's good old games, right? So that makes sense. But there's like hardly any. Like, if I wanted, I don't think you can buy Limbo on GOG.
Yeah,
probably not.
Which again, you need to look back at your own business model. What made you popular to begin with?
That's what I'm talking about. I wonder if they got in late, and if licensing agreements for those games preclude them from having like those games on GOG or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't think Steam is that predatory, but
my understanding is that the only stipulation that Valve has is you can't sell it for less anywhere else. So you can have it on other storefronts. It just can't be cheaper somewhere else. If it's on Steam, it's got to be a price parity.
That seems pretty fair.
Yeah. So, all right. I think
we gotta bail.
we gotta leave. I gotta go to Oktoberfest and drink beer and watch my kids ride rides. So I'm gonna go do that. If you liked what we're doing, come talk at us on Discord. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, other places probably. I don't fucking know.
Link in the description.
Yeah, link in the description. Ring that bell. Click that icon. Do the things. Like me, please.
You have a mouse.
You guys have phones, don't you? All right.
Shit.
All right. Bye.
Let's snap that cucumber off inside.
Okay.
Wait, are you upset that I escalated?
I didn't know when that series of jokes was going to end, but I knew someone was going to be sad.
Yeah. I think I'm more upset that I didn't think of it myself.
Because that's how it always ends.
Right.
You always want a good crunchy pickle, you know?
Yeah.